This is Roger Struckhoff of Cloud Expo TV. We're in day 3 of the 23rd International Cloud Expo in Santa Clara, California. And we are joined by Kilton Hopkins at this moment. And he works for
Edgeworks.
You can see it. He works for Edgeworks. And the name may imply strongly what we're going to talk about. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And I think we're going to talk about edge computing, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's all about.
What do you guys do? Why are you called Edgeworks? And give me I don't want the 35,000 foot view because these people can hang. Give me everything you got about what you're doing. Let's do it. Let's get in the weeds.
Sure. So what we do is we do open source edge computing, and we focus on making the edge work just like the cloud. Yeah. So if you have distributed devices like vehicles and video cameras and all of these things, we allow you to run software on those devices the same way that you do in the cloud, and the software is even the same as it is in the cloud. So you can take a TensorFlow AI model that you normally run in AWS on a GPU-enabled AWS instance like G2, and you can run it on a GPU-enabled camera out there at the edge using the same orchestration tools like Kubernetes if you use Edgeworks.
You know, see, I'm like the center of the universe in my world, and I think a lot of people are like that. Like, to them, it does. Why should it matter that it's at the edge, the people that are there? And it's just the idea is that it's a difficult problem that you're solving, but you're kind of making everyone feel like, yeah, it's just the same. You're part of the family.
Exactly, right. If the edge was an easy place to operate, people would already have pushed all the architecture out there. There's some key things about the edge that make it really difficult. Connectivity is really sparse. Power sources are really sparse. You have security challenges, and the hardware is all really different. And so if it was all just like cloud and data center, we would have been there 10 years ago and would have been pushing out software to every factory and every vehicle. But so somebody has to abstract away these challenges. And we do that, but we expose it upward to the cloud infrastructure so that it looks the same. And therefore it is easy for everyone to do, but we do the dirty work.
Yeah, and now you mentioned factories and cars. Are we talking about looking down the road a little bit, 5G deployment and reaching? So it's not just it's a lot of stuff out there that you're tracking.
That's right, yeah. And so we have a phrase that we use at Edgeworks called bring your own edge. And the idea is the edge infrastructure exists, you choose the hardware. And so if your vehicle today has a little CPU board in it for doing some data analytics and gathering some stuff from people's smartphones in the car, that's fine. If next year you want to launch a GPU-enabled board so that you can do some image recognition from some cameras and so on, you should use the same software to do that. You just change out the hardware.
How does the software look to customers? Who's controlling it? Is there a central control plane somewhere? How does this work?
Yes, there's a control plane for our edge, and so our edge technology is open source under the Eclipse Foundation. It's called Eclipse IOFog. And so there's an IOFog control plane that's programmable, and it has add-ins that merge it with Kubernetes. So with or without Kubernetes, you have a centralized control plane you use to drive what's happening at the edge. And then we have our agent software that gets installed on all of the devices. That's very similar to agents and hypervisors that have been used elsewhere to do these types of things, except it's specifically designed for the edge boards.
Is this also a way of, sounds like you're sort of like delivering real compute, if you get the connectivity, which is improving, delivering real compute power out there yonder where you're not going to build a center and a data center, and is there how does latency come into here? I mean, there are limits on what you can do as you get further removed, or you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, every edge environment is different. Right. In a lot of cases, you have the need for low latency processing, like in a factory shop floor, right? But the network connectivity from, like, say, an oil pump out in the desert is you're going to have severe latency and very constrained bandwidth. What we do is we take all of these situations into account. We can even let you orchestrate which microservices run at which edge nodes based upon the decision of what latency you can expect from that edge node. So the definition of the edge is, in our book, anything that has a location aspect to it, anything that has a where. And so then the edge is everywhere you can think of, but the cloud is not focused on locations. And location could be something like within 50 milliseconds of latency, or it could be particular GPS coordinates. And we handle all of that in our orchestration layer that lets you make decisions based on edge environment attributes.
So, from the enterprise IT perspective, how does this interfacing into the environments or the ecosystems, or you might have told me, but tell me again if you have.
Yeah, so well, first thing to note is that we work with any Kubernetes distro, and so if you're already using Kubernetes on AWS or Azure, you can go ahead and plug us right in, and we're good to go. Now you just add Edge to what you got. Whether or not you use Kubernetes, the data flows that come from the edge can be merged into any cloud backend system, cloud or data center backend. So you're not hamstrung by something like an IoT platform or anything like that. We are completely agnostic as to where the data ends up. And so if you have a legacy system that's, patient records in a hospital and you need to keep it all on premise, we're still a fit for that scenario because you choose where the data ends up.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm learning stuff today. I'm gonna check it out. How should everyone check it out? Website, social. If they want to talk to you, how do they do it?
Sure. Well, the easiest, is Google search for Edgeworks. Our website is at edgeworks.io. You'll also get there with edgeworks.com. It redirects. And you also can try out the open source technology at iofog.org or just Google search for Eclipse iofog.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. For Cloud Expo TV, this is Roger Struckoff.